Hello, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. What a day, what an absolute day. Look, losing to Liverpool, it really doesn't matter unless you're a Manchester United fan like me who sees them as the big rival, and it's embarrassing to lose that. It's a pre-season game, I agree, you can move on, you can park it, but what becomes an annoyance becomes a disaster when Jose Mourinho comes out with the comments that he's made after the game there, which are nothing short of shocking. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm stunned or shocked because he makes so many of these comments at Manchester United now, but they're all wrong. And I mean, look, we're going to get into it, we're going to take your comments. He's not totally to blame, but what he did after that game yesterday sort of moves us away from the Liverpool loss and makes us focus on something else, which is quite a clever management tool if you aren't actually making things 100 times worse. And I think that's what Jose's doing at the moment. He's not totally to blame. Some of the things he said were right, but the reality is we've just lost to Liverpool, and that's fine. It's pre-season. It's not fine. I don't like it. We had one shot on goal in 90 minutes and the free kick we scored, but we created one chance. And he can moan about injuries, he can moan about not having the players, but he sets the tone, he sets the tactics. And it doesn't matter whether you've got 11, 16-year-olds playing. If they can still pass the ball, they can still play expansive football, and he sets the tone, and it wasn't good enough, and that is a concern. And people can say, oh, it's just pre-season, it's all about fitness. Well, you know, it isn't actually. It's about building some momentum within the structure of your team, and all we're building is this ability to park the bus, which is negative football, and nobody wants to see that. But some of the comments he made are absolutely stunning, so let's go through them. First of all, I just want to say, whether you like Anthony Martial or not, whether you want to sell Anthony Martial or not, his comments about Anthony Martial have been nothing short but shocking, and some of the stuff that I'm seeing on social media, I shouldn't be surprised, is shocking as well. It really is dictatorship. It's bordering on, you know, dictatorship. That's what it is, because Jose Mourinho, Anthony Martial left Manchester United's US tour last Wednesday or Tuesday. The baby was born on Thursday. Now, I can still see people going, we don't even know if he had permission to go. Are you telling me that Manchester United or Mourinho are going to stop a human being from going back to watch the birth of their child? What the hell has permission got to do with it? It's irrelevant. If United didn't want him to go, well, I'm sorry, you're going to get taken to court because that's against people's human rights. You can't stop them going back to the birth of their child. So that's one thing. Why is that even a topic of discussion, whether he had permission or not? If Jose Mourinho's annoyed by it, well, you know what, Jose? The reality is you keep telling us this tour's meaningless. So why does it matter if Anthony Martial's there? Then last night he comes out with, the baby's been born, it's great that it's healthy, but Anthony Martial should be back with us. You've got Jurgen Klopp with Nathaniel Klein, who's gone back for the birth of his child, saying some things are more important than football. He's back at home. We'll link it up with him when we go back, and he can just be training and get his fitness work up. That's one manager dealing with it properly. And you've got Jose Mourinho, Anthony Martial. His son was only born on Thursday, 2 days ago, and Jose Mourinho would basically want that baby to be born within hours. He's on a flight to be back this weekend to train for Real Madrid in 2 days' time to fly back again. It is absolute petulance. It is Jose Mourinho after a match being spoilt and petulant, and he's not thinking it through. His press conferences are not being managed by him or anybody else around Manchester United. They are just giving him free rein, and it is becoming embarrassing. It really is, because some of the things he's saying are exposing himself really badly. And you could tell when he was talking about Martial last night, he was trying to say the right thing, but he wanted to get a message across that he was angry. Well, we know you don't like Martial, Jose. We know it. You bloody dropped our most informed player to sign Alexis Sanchez. We know you don't like him, but don't stop throwing arrows at him when he's literally just had a child born 2 days ago, and you want him to jump on a plane halfway across the world, train for a couple of days, play a match, and then fly back again. Get real. In the real world, you get 2 weeks off. Males get 2 weeks off paternity leave in the UK when their kid has when their wife or partner has a child. And the reality is, it's a pre-season game. It's pre-season, and he's having a week off to go back for the birth of his child. If it was December or April and we're in a title race, fine. Totally different. But we'd be in the UK anyway. It's just one of those things. Grow up. What he's trying to do is turn fans against Anthony Martial. And some people will be against Martial and some people will be pro-Martial. Personally, Martial doesn't like Mourinho. Mourinho doesn't like Martial. Martial's going to leave. And that is a disgrace for our football club to be selling a 22-year-old. Berbatov himself said Martial's nowhere near his full potential. Berbatov played with him at Monaco, and the club need to sort it out. Everybody knows that. Herrera's said it. Martial's got massive potential. He should be staying at the club, but Mourinho doesn't like him, and he's now trying to turn us against him in the most ridiculous way. Ridiculous. To say that publicly about the child is ridiculous. He's not got a leg to stand on. He's totally wrong. And anybody on social media saying Mourinho's right about that, you're living about 100 years ago. You're living in a dictatorship. Of course somebody can go back for the birth of their child for a bloody week. Come on, what are we? What world do we live in? We're trying to break down these sort of bloody barriers, not put them up again. It's sexism. It's sexism. The man, the woman's all right having the baby and they should have 6 months or a year off maternity leave. But the man, as soon as it's born, get back to work. It's bordering on sexism. Luke Skywalker says, Jose Mourinho is so angry and lost it at the moment. He can't even think properly. Our club is a big mess. It's hurt to see. I just hope it can turn it around. Look, Luke, there is two sides to the story. Jose Mourinho is spot on about a few things. What have I said to you for weeks and weeks and weeks? It's not as simple to blame Jose. It's not as simple to blame the board. It's not as simple to blame players. It's a culmination of things. And unfortunately, when you've got a culmination of things, that's when you've got a big problem. When there's problems with the owners, problems with the managers, and problems with the players, it's the perfect storm for a bad situation. And that's what we're getting at the moment. And we'll just work through all these things. I mean, Jose Mourinho said after the game yesterday, Liverpool had more fans at that game. This US tour is not going well for us. We're not attracting fans. We're not an attractive brand. And then the manager after the game says, I wouldn't pay to go and watch that. That's the manager of our brand. That's the face of our brand, Manchester United. And he is telling the American public, I wouldn't waste your money coming to watch us play. What? I mean, you can't... I said a couple of weeks ago, Jose Mourinho walking out of Manchester United, I don't know whether he'll do it, but everything is pointing to that fact. And also, it's starting to push to the back. Some people are saying he's trying to get the sack. I mean, I don't think United would sack him because of the cost it will do. But you've got to wonder what sort of relationship is going on there. I mean, the other one that really baffled me, and there's quite a few things that he said last night, which is even more worrying because so many things were said. I want to get some of your comments as well. But the one about Antonio Valencia, he basically said, Valencia's injured now, he's had a rest, he's had too much of a holiday because he's come back not prepared and now he's got himself injured. So basically publicly slating Valencia, who is your captain? You're picking this guy as your captain, he gets injured and then you're telling us that he's been bloody lazy on his holiday. He's not looked after himself on his holidays, he's come back and because of that he's not in good shape and he's got himself injured. So he's basically chucking his captain under the bus now. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. And this is the thing. But what I thought about that straight away was 33-year-old plays nearly every game for the last 10 years, is starting to pick up niggling injuries. What a shock. Why are we even shocked? Why have you not thought about that? Antonio Valencia also snapped his leg in half a few years ago. He plays a lot of games. He's a very physical player. He's a very fast player. And you're asking him to play as a Premier League right back week in, week out at 32, 33. Is it any surprise? This is what happens with players when you buy them at 29. Within a couple of years, they're going to start picking up injuries. And Valencia is very injury prone now. He's going to pick up a lot of injuries, but you want him to be super fit every single game. The last 2 years, he's been dropping in midweek to give him rest. It's no surprise that Valencia's picking up injuries, but Mourinho acts like it's like the biggest surprise in the world. And has a pop at him for having a bloody break. Oh, he's had too much of a break. That's why he's not in good condition. And throws his captain under the bus. And it's like, I've got no sympathy with you on this, Jose. A lot of people don't even want Valencia as right back. You pick him as your captain and then you're shocked when a 33-year-old's getting injured. It's not a surprise. The Alexis Sanchez comment. Alexis Sanchez, what do you think about Alexis Sanchez, Jose? In so many words, well, he wasn't very happy, but would you be happy with the players he's got around him? So basically, I saw the picture of him after the game with his arm around Alexis Sanchez, basically publicly saying, poor old Alexis Sanchez, he's surrounded by crap. But that crap is our players. And I agree with him, some of them were poor, like McTominay, it must be rubbish for Sanchez, but this is the problem with Jose. He's got a really small, tight-knit group of untouchables. And Alexis Sanchez falls into that group. So it's all about, poor Alexi. But Alexis Sanchez is the best played player in the Premier League. And for 6 months, he was atrocious. And you never said a word about it because he's in your tight-knit group. On the pre-season tour, he's putting a lot of effort in. I think he's going to be a good player next year. But it's put your arms around somebody who's touching 30 to have a pop at players who are in their early 20s and teens. I mean, come on. What is that? Why are you protecting somebody who's been at the club 5 minutes and is nearly 30, over people who need confidence and need building up, and you publicly have a pop at them. And the perception of that is that he's basically had a pop at all the youth and the whole squad there to protect Alexis Sanchez, who he likes. And again, it's just a silly comment. And I don't know what he meant by it, but it's a silly comment. And in the context of Alexis Sanchez, why are you protecting him? He was atrocious for 5 months. He should be doing a lot more. And he put a lot of effort in, and he didn't get a lot of ball. But again, surely that comes down to the tactics. It's all right saying Alexis Sanchez is running around not getting any of the ball, but you've got 10 men behind the ball. How's he supposed to get the ball when you're setting those tactics? Again, it's a skewed opinion from Jose, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Matic has just had surgery. He's moaning about that. He's come back from the World Cup. Matic has had something happen in the World Cup. He's now had an operation. He's moaning about that. You sign 29-year-olds who you play nearly every week all last season, and then he goes straight into a World Cup, and then he picks up an injury. Are you surprised? You know, Matic is basically 30, isn't he, next? And he's been playing football twice a week for over a year. Of course he's going to pick up injuries. It's not a surprise. This is why some United fans keep moaning about us signing 29, 30-year-olds, because they are going to pick up injuries. You're going to pay a lot of money, and it's not the way to build a football club. It really isn't. So that's something that's causing a lot of problems as well. Best thing to happen to Arsenal was Alexi leaving and Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan coming in, says Smith. Yeah, you don't know enough about Mkhitaryan, mate. Let's have a talk. What else did he talk about? I want to come back to that, but let me talk about the transfers because I know a lot of people are interested in that. So there was a quote about transfers where he said he's given a list of 5 players to the club and he hopes to get 1 in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for the contribution, Ivan McCarthy. He hopes to get 1 in the next couple of weeks. He'd like 2, but he's only expecting 1. Well, I've been told we're going to get 2. If we owned it, we wanted 3. It's down to 2. Jose's saying it's down to 1 now. This is where it's not about Mourinho. This is about what is going on with the board. And I think this is where Jose is saying silly things about other things because he's frustrated about this. And this is the key point, and this is where he's right. I did feel sorry for him a little bit last night because the squad he's got, he's having to play it every couple of days. And the bad thing about that is he's not only just about to get a load of World Cup players back who are tired, but those players that he had fresh who weren't in the World Cup are now going to be exhausted as well because they're having to play a game every 2-3 days in hot America. It's not ideal. But that's where Woodward and the board could have helped him out, because if they got 2 or 3 players in, such as Sandro, then they would have been part of this squad and they would have been alleviating some of the stress on these players like Pereira, like Sanchez, like Mata, like Herrera, who are having to play every single game. So I do empathise with Jose on the transfer situation. It is shocking, and this is why you shouldn't all be jumping on Mourinho's back, because he's not in charge of the transfers. He's not, for the second summer in a row, getting the players in. And this is where the board come in. What is their role? Why are they not buying players when we need it? Because the most important thing for me is I want Manchester United to win the title next season, because that's what Manchester United should be doing. They should be winning titles. And we are woefully unprepared. We were in a better situation we were this time last year than we are this year. But we've just lost the title by 20 points. This should have been an aggressive, ruthless summer, bringing in players good enough, getting rid of players that weren't good enough, and preparing to properly go for this title. We've actually had a worse summer than we've had in the last 2. So we're actually taking steps back when we should be trying to take steps forward. And this is where my frustration comes, because all I'm bothered about is Manchester United challenging for the top prizes in world football, and we're a million miles off it. We've got a manager taking a pop at his squad, we've got a manager taking a pop at the board, we've got a manager playing boring football, we've got a board not backing the manager, we've got fans totally split. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. There's no leadership on the pitch. There's no leadership from the manager. There's no leadership from the board. It's just one convoluted mess, and nobody knows what's going on. And we're about to start a Premier League season in a week and a half, and it is a mess. And the only people talking sense are fans, but we've got no power. We've got no power. And the manager, to be honest, anybody looking out would go, this is untenable. How do you turn this situation around? Jose Mourinho is publicly taking shots at his players and the club, and we're expected to turn this round. The board aren't delivering to the manager, and the players can only be looking at this going, what a mess. How do you turn... That's 3 big issues there. Most clubs might have one issue, a couple of players not happy, but the manager and the club are on the same page. Or the manager's not happy, but the club and the players are on the same page and the manager's about to go. Or the manager and the players are together, but the club's against them. But we've got all 3. Board not doing what they should be doing. Mourinho very, very unhappy. Players, God knows what's going on. I mean, Martial's finished, isn't he? Let's be honest. I mean, Jose Mourinho said that there's nothing on this tour that it's not a progression for anything. It's not a step forward for anything. All it's done is it shows me some of my players. I can count on some of these players, and some of them I can't count on it. And he mentioned people like Herrera, Sanchez, Pereira. He said Eric Bailly wasn't playing last night, which is why in the team news he wasn't there. Smalling pulled up in the warm-up, and Bailly was like, I'm not having 3 kids playing against people like Salah and Mane. I'll play this game even though I'm injured. And he's got an ankle like a balloon now, which Jose Mourinho says, which is great. That's what you want. That's what we want to see more of from Manchester United. We want to see that desire and running through brick wall mentality. I do really want to see that. And then he talks about players who aren't doing that. And my mind, maybe totally unfairly, immediately jumped to Martial, who I think that is totally wrong. You cannot take a pop at a player for going back for the birth of their child. I'm sorry, you can't. That's my opinion. I also was wondering about Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw's like, I'm going to put all this effort in. I want to be the left back, la la la. We get the biggest game of our pre-season tour against Liverpool. An opportunity to be on the same pitch as someone like Salah, who's the best player in the Premier League at the moment. You put a good performance in on that, you might be forcing your way into the team for the Leicester game. He's not, I don't know, is he injured? Is Mourinho having a pop at Luke Shaw again? Maybe not, maybe he is. He's done it in the past. Was he inadvertently saying that, when I need him, he's not there? What does that say about Luke Shaw anyway? Because if he has got injured again, can we count on him anyway? Because this has always been the concern about Luke Shaw. And this is the thing, when Jose Mourinho throws so many grenades at players, sometimes fans will start thinking, well, he didn't directly mention that player, but he's done it in the past and he is throwing grenades, so he's probably talking about Luke Shaw. And this is the danger when you publicly slate players, is that the message gets lost, because maybe he wasn't talking about Luke Shaw last night when he was saying you can count on some players and you can count on others. But my interpretation was, because he's done it in the past and because he does publicly slate his players, is I think he was having a pop at Luke Shaw. He might not have been, but this is why very few managers publicly have a go at their players, because it undermines you as a manager to your players, it undermines you to your fans, and the fans start reading into things that maybe Jose didn't mean. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I never thought, after being beaten 4-1 by Liverpool this morning, less than a few hours after it, I'd be talking about something far worse. I mean, I'm irritated by losing to Liverpool. I'm irritated by the way they played better football and they beat us, because they're my biggest rival. But I'm not bothered about it anymore, more because I'm looking at a bigger problem. We've got a counter worry, which is this big verbal tirade from Mourinho exposing the problems within our squad and also within our hierarchy of the club. And we get a lot of this stuff about, United, look at them doing all their songs, they've got a really good atmosphere. Either all our players are thick, or Mourinho hasn't got control of that dressing room, because all these things he talks about publicly actually come back on him. If Valencia has had a bit too much of a holiday and come back in bad shape, that shows you how much respect he's got for Manchester United and Mourinho. And I'm not saying that is the case. He should have a break, and he is 33, so that's probably why he's picking up injuries. If Martial hasn't asked Mourinho to go back to England, well, I'm sure he has done. But again, it shows no respect for the manager. And I think Jose does it maybe because he's trying to get the sympathy vote, but actually it just exposes him that he hasn't got control of that dressing room and people aren't respecting him, which is a problem. I mean, we've heard about the Pogba issues. It is, look, the most important thing is that Manchester United win some games when this Premier League season starts. The board need to make a decision. Jose needs to make a decision. I saw a very good tweet this morning, which was, this is clearly the beginning of the end. Instead of going through the process of the next 6 months of Jose continually slating the club and the players and the club not backing him, why don't they just have a meeting now, pay him off, get rid of him and try and salvage something, because time stands still for no one. And why waste a season finishing out the top 4 again and having another bad season where it all goes wrong? Let's be brave and sort it out. If Mourinho's not happy and Woodward doesn't want to back him, sit in a room, amicably sort it out. You either solve the situation and Mourinho gets what he needs, or he listens to what Woodward wants, or you go your separate ways. But let's not endure what's obviously going to happen at the moment. We are going to continue to play this bad brand of football. The club aren't going to give him the players that they want. Mourinho is going to continue to moan about the players that he's got. And we as the fans suffer with, football's meant to be an entertainment, but it's also a lot more than that, isn't it? And we're going to have to suffer, aren't we, if this doesn't get resolved? It needs to get resolved very, very quickly. It says Willian's coming to United, says Stephen Jones. I mean, at the end of the day, if we sign Willian, we sign Willian. I mean, I'm not going to cry about it, but he's 30 years old. He's 30 years old. And he's massively inconsistent. It's not really the sort of signing Manchester United should be making. And if the board have said no to that, I agree. And if we pay any more than £40 million, it's an embarrassment. And also, why do we need Willian? Our best formation is 3-5-2. It doesn't have wingers. It has wing backs. Why have we not signed Alexandro? That was the signing we should have done. It's the most obvious signing. You got Dimitri Mitchell playing at left wing back yesterday because Ashley Young's on holiday and Luke Shaw's not fit. We should have signed the bloody left back. We've got Darmian playing at right wing back. He doesn't even want to be at the club. He wants to leave. He's publicly saying he wants to leave. This is it's a mess. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing what's going on at the club. But it's multifaceted, like I said. It's not just Mourinho and his comments. It's the actions of the players, some players. It's the actions of the board not getting the money in. And look, to be honest with you, people are saying Jose out, Jose's toxic and everything like that. I've got to be honest with you. The way that Martial's handling this maybe isn't the best way. Maybe he should be getting his head down and doing his best. But the reality is, the second I start trying to sort of say Martial's got a part to play in this, I immediately come back to the fact that can you blame a player for having no trust or confidence or like for a manager who treated him like he's treated him over the last 18 months, constantly publicly having a go at him? He was playing absolutely fantastic and gets dropped for a new signing and left and misses the World Cup because of it. I'm sorry, we're all human beings. I totally empathise with why Martial's got no respect for Mourinho. And I think, it's obvious. And I think it's so sad that Manchester United are going to sell a player who actually stands for what Manchester United's all about. Young, exciting, flair player. We're going to sell him to sign inconsistent 30-year-old Chelsea reject. It's really sad that is what we're trying to do. There's no way Pogba's going to leave Manchester United, Mudder. I don't even want to contemplate it. I really don't. Paul Pogba's not leaving Manchester United. Where this nonsense about 80% chance he's going to leave, it's absolute nonsense. It's an idiot comment because there is absolutely no way. Even if Paul Pogba wants to leave Manchester United, there is no way he's leaving Manchester United. We can't even sign the players we need to sign to improve our team. Left back, centre back, right midfield. We can't even sign those players. So why on earth would we let Pogba go at the last minute and then expect to replace him? We haven't got the time. We can't even sign the players we need without replacing players who want to go. It's never going to happen. Please do drop a like on the video and let's take some of your comments because that's the most important thing. I'm seriously thinking about doing a Skype show tonight at 8 o'clock. I know Sunday Night Live we normally have Flex and Sophie on, but they're on holiday anyway. So I'm seriously thinking of doing Skype shows tonight and tomorrow night. So let me know. Drop a like on the video if you think that's a good idea, or drop a comment on the live comments if you think that's a good idea. Because I think it'd be unprecedented for us to do Skype shows 2 nights in a row, but I really do want to get a wide opinion because I know lots of people have got different things, and he said so much that people agree with some things, disagree with others, so I think it's a good idea to do that. Jose always loses the dressing room in his 3rd season, says hi. This has been the worst pre-season I can remember, says Ravens Claude. Look, at the end of the day, we haven't won the title for over, this is season 6 without the title. United haven't had that for like 30 years, and that's my priority, is winning the league. Do I want Mourinho to be sacked? No. Do I want this situation to get resolved? Yes, because at the moment, this is a one-way street to Mourinho being sacked or walking out. It is. That's not sensationalist. He's going to leave. In this situation, he's going to leave because it's just not working, is it? And you can't... I don't know what Manchester United are doing. I don't know whether they're scared of Jose or what, because he should have been pulled up after the Sevilla game. What he said in the press conference after Sevilla, this United should be grateful to have me effectively, it's all me. And then it continued for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then it's continued into pre-season, and last night was probably the worst one of the lot. Last night's press conference was up there with, or after-match reaction, was up there with Sevilla. It was appalling for a Manchester United manager to be speaking about that. And I think the worst comment for me was the Martial one, because it's totally wrong to pick on someone who's at the birth of their child. It's totally wrong. It's beyond football wrong. But the worst one for me, and there were so many bad comments, but the worst one for me was, if I was a fan, I wouldn't pay to come and watch this either. We're in America trying to build our brand, trying to build positivity, like Liverpool have obviously done because they've got loads of bloody fans there last night. We're trying to build something. It's hard enough with the brand of football that we're playing to try and get people to support Manchester United in America, but it's impossible when your manager is saying to American fans, don't come and watch us. You know, it's just ridiculous. It's so petulant. And I've followed Jose Mourinho for many years, over 2 decades, because when he first came, he started by knocking United out with Porto, and it was like, who's this man? Then he managed Chelsea and knocked us off our perch before we knocked him off. And you watch a lot of Jose because you didn't like him then, but you watch him in the press conferences because he's an enigma. He is all about Team Mourinho. It's why he's always been very successful, because he's number one. He is the special one. It's Team Mourinho. And everything he says is about deflecting blame from him. So the dig at Martial last night was wrong, but he's trying to build support for himself for when Martial gets sold, so there's no backlash. He knows that fans don't like Fellaini, so he spends a lot of time positively talking about Fellaini. When Manchester United lose, he'll flip it so he doesn't get the blame. It's always about not getting the blame. That's what Mourinho's about. And I'm not criticising him there. I've known that about him for 20 years. But it becomes irritating when he's not delivering on the pitch. But I wonder why the board aren't backing him up. And also with Jose, something I did pick up with. Jose at Chelsea was fantastic, Yusuf, because everything was going right. But what really did frustrate me about Jose last night is he was speaking about players that he can trust and players that were there for him all the time. And he mentioned something. He said, you know, Marcus Rashford and Phil Jones are coming back early because they know I need them. And I thought, this is where we're going wrong. This is where we're going wrong because, yeah, it's great that people like Eric Bailly are playing when they're injured. And it's great that Phil Jones and Marcus Rashford are coming back. And in the case of Marcus Rashford, it's great because Marcus Rashford's a good player. But Phil Jones and Fellaini coming back early, I'd rather they stayed on holiday. Because I don't really care about what their effort levels are or their ability to run through a brick wall. The fact is they're not good enough. And this is the problem. I think Jose puts so much focus on players who run through brick walls for him, like Fellaini, like Phil Jones. And because of that, he ignores their ability as a footballer. Phil Jones cost us an FA Cup final. Phil Jones cost us about 12 points last season with individual errors because he's not a good centre-back. Fellaini is not a good midfielder, but Jose Mourinho backs them and uses it as all he ever says is, I can trust those players, they'll run through brick walls for me. But this is the problem. We're Manchester United. Running through brick walls should come as standard because that's what a manager of Manchester United should get. You shouldn't be picking players because they run through brick walls for you. You should be looking at yourself as the manager and saying, why isn't my whole squad running through brick walls for me? Then I wouldn't have to pick crap players because they're the only ones who will run through brick walls. You should have a situation where Paul Pogba, Alexis Sanchez, Martial, Lingard, Lindelof, De Gea, Mata, Herrera, Pereira, all these great talents that we've got, all of those should be running through brick walls for you so you don't have to pick Fellaini and Jones. The big question, Jose, is why aren't they? Because that's man management. And the man management problem you have is you like to be a dictator to your players, and some players respond to that. But not everybody will, but you don't know how to manage those sort of players. As you admitted a year ago before the Europa League, I don't put my arm around players, I want players to be tough. But that's not the real world. And the real world is all about fairness and equality, and you've got to be able to manage different people. And this is where we're going wrong. We're having to pick people like Phil Jones because he comes back from his holiday early. It doesn't make Phil Jones a good player. You're just picking him because he's coming back from his holiday early, because he's one of your favourites. But he's not good enough. That's the problem. So I'm not impressed with this. They're coming back from holiday early unless they're a decent player. And if they're not decent players, then why are the decent players not doing it for you? That's the question. Danny Smith, you have got to ask why he's so toxic, the board. I think he's very annoyed with the board, yeah. Huss Pussy says, hey Mark, good job with the fan channel. I heard rumours that Matic will play centre-back if Mourinho doesn't get a good centre-back this transfer window. Do you think it's possible and would it be a good idea? I've not heard that anywhere. That's the first time I've heard it, mate. But I would be very disappointed with that. Matic playing as centre-back. He's not quick enough. Jose said Pereira was playing in a position that doesn't exist when he was in Spain, so why get Willian? Says Wan White, good points. If Mourinho doesn't change, he needs to be shown the door by Christmas, says Mushfiq Ahad. I don't think the board want to sack Jose Mourinho. From what I've heard, the board will never sack him, and I don't think Jose will walk because of the money. So this could be toxic for a long time unless they sit down in a room in the next few days and sort it out. That's what I want to happen, because I don't see Mourinho being sacked. I don't see Mourinho walking. So they need to sit down and sort this out very quickly. Otherwise, we're just going to limp through next season from one problem to another, and it's going to become worse. From Mourinho, I'm not even talking about what the fans are going to do. Mourinho's already publicly being dissentful. and the board are staying quiet. So they need to sort that situation out. That's what the big problem is at the moment. What's the difference between Mourinho's football and Van Gaal's football, Dennis? Good point. There isn't one at the moment. I think Jose's shown glimpses of good football, but at the moment, not enough. Good to see a lot of people talking about the board and not just Jose. Really, really do it. Really do agree with that. It's definitely a two-pronged problem here. Let's not put the blame onto one person or one entity. It's double-edged. And one thing is, Jose's not happy. He's not happy. He's not getting the players that he wants. He said that in there, and he's right about that. He's 100% right about that. So it's, you know, we can talk about some of the things he said wrong, and he did say some things wrong, I think, but he also said some things right. It's not just his fault. Left back, centre back, right back, says Sam TM. Do you want us to do Skype show tonight? Let us know. Be it 8 o'clock tonight live. Do you want us to do a Skype show? I'm more than happy to do it. And please do drop a like on the video. That would be great. Apparently I'm the delusional one, says Ryan Griffith. I mean, mate, I've spoken about so many things. It's hard to know what I've been delusional about if you don't give me an example. I'm more than happy to take different opinions. That's what the channel's all about. Please don't agree with me on my opinion. I'm just conveying an opinion to create conversation from what Jose said. You might agree with some things, you might agree with nothing. That's fine. That's why I'm thinking about doing a Skype show tonight. Yes to Skype, says Ashish. The board problem is not setting the record straight with Jose, says Michael Schaus. Yeah, a lot of people want a Skype show, which is good. We'll definitely do that at 8 o'clock tonight. Remember, drop a like on the video. 500 likes before we finish. Is Alderweireld deal done? And what about Willian Anvish? Well, if you listen to Jose, no deal's done at the moment. Alderweireld might come to Man. You know, who's the one signing we're going to make? Probably going to be a centre back. If we make two, probably a right midfielder. What's the signing we need to make? A left back. That's the signing we needed to make. Sandro is the one that we needed to sign, 100%, and we haven't done it. I can't do a recap, Ben, because the list of what Jose said is ridiculously long. All I can say is, had a go at Valencia, had a go at Martial, defended Bailly, defended Sanchez, but had a go at the rest of the squad. Said he's only going to get one signing. Matic has had surgery. Valencia's out. So many things. DJ Gaz thinks this is a Man City top. Go and get educated, DJ Gaz. And we need at least 3 signings, says Michael Hubbard. I agree. Have we got Alexander? I still think, look, it's only 2 days ago I was saying I felt more positive. Yesterday morning I felt positive. This morning I'm concerned because I'm not going to lie to myself and say I feel positive when our manager is having a meltdown like he did last night. That is, when your leader's having a meltdown like that, I think we should be worried. But we can turn the situation around. We can turn it around. The club and Mourinho need to sort their issue out. We've still got some really good players. We have got a lot of players missing at the moment. It is only pre-season, but losing to Liverpool is never nice. The major concern is Jose's comments last night. That portrays that he's not happy. We need him happy. We need him positive. The club needs to make him happy. Then we've got the players coming back. Let's go again. Let's get it sorted out. It is a shambles at the moment. I mean, I heard somebody saying today, if Jose Mourinho walked out tomorrow, that would give the new manager or management a week or two to get their own signings in, get Martial back involved, and we could have a really good season next year. Maybe, but it's probably not going to happen, is it? It's probably not going to. It isn't going to happen. Right, Skype it is tonight, 8 o'clock. Looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right hand corner. I think I've covered everything we needed to cover. Most important, remember the comments. If you're in the live comments, that's fine. The comments section below, you can just go below the video and type now. You can actually put your comment on before you leave. So leave us your thoughts below. I really want to see what people have got to say because there's so much to discuss. Leave your comments below. I'll reply to as many as I can. Thanks for watching. See you at 8 o'clock tonight unless we sign somebody. 8 o'clock tonight then. See you soon.